Hey everyone, so we're gonna go on live now. Hi, welcome. So we are doing a little video for the Venus Retrograde I need to. So just gonna take some deep breaths, cycle out the old energy by drawing energy up from the ground, up my spinal cord and out, and then just keep doing that for a little bit so that I can be with y'all fully and honor the energy. My Instagram page, so if you follow me on Instagram and want to keep up with me, I am switching over holistically to my other page. So let's start with some cards and some gratitude. I'm so grateful to be able to share this energy with you all and share this space. And that's why I wanted to clear my energy and ground my energy a bit, because I feel like we collectively are not having the best of times. I know that there's a lot of stuff coming up. There are shadows that are, being released, and we just have to let them go in peace. We just have to let them do their thing, because honestly, that's all that any of us can do. And so I'm just shuffling my decks because I do like getting a bit of clarity, and this is probably going to be a deeper video because we're looking at Venus and Gemini, which means that we need to look at the chart of Gemini first. We need to look at the chart of Taurus season first, because Venus in Gemini is going to be happening during Taurus season. So let me just pull that up. And I know that, people that process, and be gentle with ourselves and be compassionate with us, all shuffled up. So I first shuffled my deck, my Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. And Danielle Noel did the art. I shuffled Cosmic Tarot, which my roommate got me in New Orleans, y'all know. And this is Tarot del Fuego. Honestly, I usually use Tarot del Fuego for clarifiers, but let's lead with Star Mother. Bring a little bit more of the sacred, a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of divine wisdom. How can we bring that to our life practice right now, in the here and now? And that is going to be something that we come to learn a little bit more about and understand more about. What is going on? I'm sorry if you're watching this on YouTube, because I don't know, whatever. I'm shadow banned. It's really weird. But so how can you mother yourself? So we're doing this Venus retrograde reading. And I am just a bit distracted because things are just weird in the cosmos right now, right? And so I have like some crystals on hand, and what I've been doing to mother myself is remove frequencies that are not making, that I don't feel comfortable in. And I can ask for peace, and I can ask for respite, and I can open myself up to this energy and allow it to flow through me and to calm me, because right now we don't need more fire, we need more water. And so right now I feel like we're really being tested, because what's coming next is really going to require a lot of compassion from us. So the sun is entering Taurus on the 19th of April, so that's just in 4 days. And the first house is in Virgo. So we are being really, I tend to see Virgo meticulous and careful about its surroundings. So we're really, really, really paying attention. It is joining Uranus there, and they're both sitting in the 8th house with Mercury, which is in Aries. And so let's talk about Mercury being in Aries and what we can expect from Taurus sun in general. Like a Taurus sun, the Taurus is really associated with the heart energy center. It's also called the Anahata, whatever. It's concerned with the heart space, and Libra is concerned with the throat space. So these two, so this is the first vibration of Venus, and then the throat is a higher octave of Venus, and that's the 7th sign, that is Libra, and then we get Venus, and it is divine harmony. And we find harmony in the world around us by using our voice to harmonize our upper world and our lower base level world. And so, hi, my energy is a little bit weird. So these in today's like energy is just really aggressive. But so we're talking about Taurus season, and we're talking about like what to expect with Taurus season. And like I was thinking about how we value that which is outside of us. So, and also how we value ourselves, because that absolutely anything else. However, if we work on our relationships with ourselves, every single relationship that we are in seems to get better. And I think this is going to be a really big lesson that we're dealing with the sun entering Taurus. Because its ruler, Venus, is going to be retrograde in Gemini less than a month after Taurus season begins, right? And then, like I said, the first house is in Virgo. The first house is in Virgo. So it's really about us like cultivating our space, clearing up our relationships, figuring out what stays in what retrograde, and with the sun entering Taurus. So allow those insights to come in, and allow, because the moon is going to be in Pisces here with Neptune. So it's supercharged in the 7th house. This is really bringing a lot of balance here. And we also have Chiron and Lilith here, all in the 7th house. Express yourself, express your emotions, express your truth. If you really want to find balance, tell whoever needs to be told what you have to say, because right now, if the more that we communicate our truth, we are creating our world around us. We are creating this beautiful vision. And if we're full of shadows and we're full of darkness, we're not going to be able to manifest the space that we want. And that's going to be so difficult. And if you're concerned about Venus going retrograde, it is a really, really heavy placement that dictates so much of our lives that like I would really recommend to you to stay open and do a lot of moon work, do a lot of work with your 4th house. The 4th house with Taurus season is going to be starting in Sagittarius. So this is really about like, how can we clear space within ourselves to make room for ourselves? And we're going to be entering into new Like, really becoming conscious of what's keeping us from experiencing the life that we want to live. We have the South Node in the 4th house. So yes, this is karmic. Right now, like, if you are feeling things that are making you uncomfortable, you've got to dig deeper. You've got to dig deeper into why. We get the 6 of Pentacles. This is about taking back our control, taking back our power in life. Go for Sun entering Taurus. Those things that need to leave your life now, I really recommend you to liberate this truth. How can we mother ourselves with this energy? The way that we do it, the way that we move from the devil to the star mother is by releasing it, letting it go, working that throat energy center, that power center of energy that we have there that is ruled by Libra. Work it by being honest and allowing the evening of the scales to happen. Because the more that we suppress our voice and our truth, the more out of balance things get. So it is necessary that we bring it back to alignment and centrality and neutrality by using our voice to express ourselves and advocate for ourselves. And we are actively using our power in our root. If you want to ascend to higher heights where you see the world to see around you, you've got to get right within. You've got to get right with this 1st house. There is going to be so much attention that it's going to be almost unignorable about the ways that we've been living our lives and cultivating our spaces that do not align with who we are, that we need to reconcile. And the only reconciliation is going to come through. We see Fortuna is in the 11th house in Pisces. It's going to come from having faith enough to shake the fear of being honest, the fear of living our truth, the fear of expressing ourselves, who we are, whatever fear that was. Make sure starting now that you are mothering yourself by calling in the faith and the strength that you need to make it through whatever challenge it is that you are facing that has you so afraid to look at yourself and allow yourself to experience joy and peace and happiness and harmony in your life. You've got to let it out. You've got to express, and it must be confessional. You have to verbalize it. You have to give life to it. So it's no longer living inside of you. You give it as a gift to the world and let it go. This is the way that we can best mother ourselves. I feel like I'm really picking up a lot of energy. So we, like I said, have Mars. We have Mercury and Mars. And so Mercury and Mars is going to, Mercury in Aries. Mercury and Aries. They're go-getters right now. And so there's a lot of healing to be done in this space of how we express ourselves and how we shine our light. And that's because a lot of us still have a lot of fear about our light and shining that light. Well, guess what? As long as you live, it's going to be your light. So I don't really know what to tell you. At some point, you're going to have to get over that fear if you want to live a comfortable, happy life. And if you're not willing to get over that fear, if you're not willing to face it, I'm not saying go head to head with it the first time out the bat. I mean, out the door, you're going face to face with your biggest demon. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is every time that feeling of discomfort comes, you must push back willfully and sincerely from integrity and say, I'm going to get past this. This is not where my journey ends. In these times, I know because I know Taurus pretty well. But when it gets tough, they just get really quiet and kind of disappear and can be very ephemeral. And those ones tend a little bit more towards the Geminian energy that comes after Taurus. But the angry Taurians that yell and explode with energy, which, you know, it's a spectrum. So we get energy coming in from both sides. So with this energy that we're coming in here with, like, this is a lot of, you know, we're angry and for the right reasons. We deserve to be angry, you know, like if there's something that's happened. It's up to us to clear ourselves from, you know, the tethers that are holding us back. It's up to us. It's up to us, because I'm also on YouTube, those watching on IG. It is up to us to be the ones who free ourselves and liberate ourselves from this devil energy. And that is that loop of Saturn where we're just like going around and around and around and around. But once we switch our perspective, and so this is what we realize about life. If you've heard of the mortal coil before, time is in this circle, right? This circle, and we keep going around the center of the circle. We keep going around the circle when we're in a time loop, right? But then what happens when we shift our perspective and look at it from a different angle, perhaps no longer from above or perhaps no longer from below, perhaps we switch to see it from the side. It's retrograde in Gemini. What is the ruler of Gemini? Mercury. What does Mercury rule? Communication, information. So yes, we need to allow the new information to come in that's going to come in with this emotional body, and it's going to be asking us to have faith. We have to take a risk on the unknown, and leap into it and allow it to transform us. Because we haven't been getting what we want, because we haven't been looking at it the right way, going about it the right way. And we have some aspects that I want to look at before we move on to the chart of Venus retrograde, where we're looking at the sun entering Taurus. And so some aspects that we're seeing here. We have a sextile between Mercury, which is going to be in Aries, and Venus, which is going to be in Gemini. Well, what did I say? We have a sextile happening here. The Venus is already in its shadow period. And this is a pretty important sextile to pay attention to, because it's actually forming a grand trine. Mars and Aries, and then Mars and Venus are trining one another. Is what I'm be sure that I am picking this up. So we have Mars is in Aquarius. What did I say before? I don't even remember. I think I was thinking about my own chart. But anyways, Mars is in Aquarius. It means that there's a lot of harmonious energy being made here. By going against the grain of who you have thought yourself to be for so long, you are taking back control, and you are taking back your power, and you are healing that Chiron in Aries where it is, and you are healing that Lilith and Aries, approaching things differently. And what I want to encourage people to approach life from is, instead of approaching life from fear, approaching from a space of lack, of contrition, approach it from the understanding that you are the arbiter of your experience. You decide how much love you get to experience, how much joy, how much peace, how much abundance. Because if you choose aligned with your integrity, you will live a life that is more aligned with who you are. And you have Venus and Gemini, and Saturn. So it really speaks to the ways that we go through life. So yes, there's a reset coming here. But as it's direct in this place, and it's making a very minor aspect to Neptune. Not even really one that's super worth making mention of. But right now, I think what we're really seeing is in Taurus season, you're going to want to dream big. You're going to want to fantasize. You're going to want to exist in that space of like dreaminess, of love, of what could be, and keep coming back to that space. Like you're going to be pulled out of your safety a lot in this season, and you have to just keep coming back to this space. We can open ourselves up to new energy. We can open ourselves up to new life. We can open ourselves up to receiving the abundance that we, Taurus, in a few days, is we're really going to start revving up for Venus being retrograde. And Venus retrograde has a much deeper impact on our lives than Mercury retrograde, because the last Venus retrograde, we're still dealing with energy from that. Venus retrograde in Scorpio. Why do you think the past year and a half has been so intense? Well, I'll tell you why. That is why. What an intense movement. And so I personally am really looking forward to Venus in retrograde in Gemini, because this is the liberation of all that was unearthed with that last Venus retrograde. This is the liberation. So whatever you feel coming up right now, let it go. Do not hold on to it. I know how easy it is to stay in your anger. And in the moment, it feels like it is so hard to choose love and to choose peace and to be an emissary of those things and to embody those things. Because we feel like our egos tell us that that's going to keep us safe from experiencing the pain again. But honestly, love is worth it. Love is so worth experiencing that momentary discomfort of pushing towards it and allowing it to transform you as you go closer to it is worthwhile if you choose to focus and center on that, as opposed to focusing and centering on the fear of the lack of all of that. Because when you focus on that which you are bringing in, you know that you are filling all of those chasms of lack with that thing. And it is up to you. It's only up to you. It's only up to any of us to do that. No one can give that to you. And that's the true reality of what we get from the Devil card. We are the arbiters of our experience. Make those decisions. It's up to us if we want to be free of the pain, of the sorrow, of the confusion, of the chaos. It's not anyone else but you who will allow yourself to choose that. It doesn't matter what anyone else does. They can apologize a million times. Or maybe they'll never apologize. But so that you can go up to a new ring, to a new cycle where things don't feel so bad. Yes, we do. We do have the power. We are the only ones with the power. And we have, like I said, we got 6 of Pentacles. He is drawing up this person, rather. I'm not going to gender them. This person is drawing up their energy. You can see that the earth below them it has a bit of grass growing. You see that there's water that they're coming out from, but they're on the precipice of a cliff. And they are not facing the cliff anymore. They are instead facing us. And they have mastered right within. So see, what this is the shadow of whatever it is that is in our root energy center. As y'all know, I am phasing out of using the language of like chakras and stuff like that. Our root energy center. It is no mistake that we are feeling flooded with our shadows right now. Because your root energy center is lit up. So yes, your first house and your 8th house are lit up right now. We're reminded of all of our past. The zodiac is all about spiritual transmutation. Are you able to transmute those shadows into light? Are you able to transmute that lead into gold? Are you able to alchemize your experience, your trauma, your pain, so that you are you going to choose to keep on going around this iron ring? It's cold and it's hard and it doesn't feel too good, because when we allow that golden light to fill our heart space, everything we touch turns to gold. Everything them overtake your power, and there's no balance being had. Taurus season is about balance. We move up into our sacral energy center, our second house, and it is about how we show up in our spaces. It is about how we interact with our spaces. Are we going to come and shine our light and be a master of our domain, aura, pollute our space? There's a lot of type of pollution. We got noise pollution, we got air pollution, we got water pollution. Every element can be polluted, essentially. And we are made of the elements. This is ancient Chinese medicine. Get into it. I posted about it on my Twitter. And like I said, I know how to do research. So when you're fucking with me, you know that you need to check in with your first house and your eighth house. Where are they in your chart? What placements are there? Check in with those placements, because those are the parts of your life that are being affected, and those are the parts of your life that you do well to meditate on those. Star Mother, how are we showing up to best bring ourselves into that space? Well, I just told y'all, if you love yourself enough to, you will make time for yourself. You will make time to spend with yourself. You will make time to nourish yourself, because that is how we show care for ourselves. You don't have to do anything to practice self-care. Sometimes it's just crying. Sometimes it's just breathing. Sometimes it's just giving thanks. We're coming into a place where we're going to be interacting with Venus Retrograde. And you say it into this camera. You don't have to show anyone, but until you feel like you're safe enough to tell people, because that's what's coming in here. This is this is why I saw what I saw in the Akashic Records. So if you checked my story, then you will have seen that I woke up just filled with rage, and I felt rage building, and I knew it wasn't necessarily coming from me consciously. But so this is what it is. It was, and my gifts operate in that I am clairsentient and clairconscious. So I have clairaudio. So certain me absorbing information from the light processes cognitively as like a sound or as a color or an image. And this is like how people who are clairvoyant or see prophecies and stuff like that, that's how we operate, a lot of us. So I felt this scream, this primal scream that had come from within me. And it was the release of like a demon, a shadow that I was letting free. And as this morning, I woke up so angry about what it was that had made me, that had like embedded this, was allowing to grow bigger and hold more and more space, was taking up the space of my personal power. I was letting this thing overpower me. World, I want to cultivate peace. I want to cultivate love. And no matter how I tried to meditate or say affirmations, it just wouldn't leave me. But I mothered myself in that moment. And I knew that like my affirmations weren't working. So I put on music as soon as I woke up that I knew would set my heart in a place where I would be able to allow this anger to flow through me without allowing it to then become my identity. I can allow this anger to flow through me without allowing it to characterize me. I may be those things in these moments. I choose to liberate myself from the devil card. And that is what is happening here, because a lot of blue lace agate will help with that. Do think about the fact that we don't want to destroy our worlds. We want to stay mad because we think it makes us powerful, but no. Anger is empowering your shadow. Let it go. And allow those spaces to be filled with unconditional love and compassion. You're not angry at them, you're angry at yourself. Sometimes you're not even angry at yourself, you're angry at God, because like, God, I tried to get out of this situation and I couldn't get out of it. And now like, it's not my fault, it's not my fault, it's nobody's fault. It just is what it is. We're all a bunch of deeply traumatized people interacting with one another, trying to find fulfillment. Some of us are much more ignorant than the others. And some of us have a lot more information and privilege in that way than others. Have some compassion for yourselves. Have compassion for one another. Understand, it is not that, well, I hate this person specifically, so I'm going to ruin them because they are this kind of person. That's not the reality of things. That's not how any of this works. The reality of things is we make more things to be afraid of. But when we choose to have faith that we will be fine regardless of the shadow. Hello, Sarah Clark. We experience this divine liberation from the devil, the ego, the self. We experience the Six of Pentacles, where we now have sovereignty over ourselves and over our domain. And that is only achieved, my friends, through this nurturing of self, nourishing of self, unconditional love for self, unconditional honor. When so many of us have been brutalized into mental illness, love is not enough. We need atonement. We need accountability. We need respect. We need honor. And without atonement in a Taurus season, and the magic of Taurus season is going to be if you just like show up for yourself. If you enact your power here and now, rapidly there are going to be blockages unlocked in your life. If it's a whatever blockages you're having, whatever places, honor it by knowing this is a part of me, that story needs to be told, and allow that story to be told. And I promise you, because I feel more in my power than I've ever been before. So I can only recommend to you what I have already been through. I recommend to you to do this because as Sun enters Taurus, it's going to make it a lot easier. Visit that first house. Visit that 8th house in your chart. Check in with them. All right, so we're going to move on. I think this is a great place for us to go ahead and move on to the chart of Venus retrograde so we can get a little bit more in depth with that. If you have not, if you aren't someone who like is watching this in real time, this is, or you have to go or whatever, this is going to be accessible on my YouTube channel, and my astral insights will be up on Sad Girls Club right around the time of the beginning of the season, but Gemini. And we're going to just go quick to the aspects. The moon and Uranus, it looks like, are squaring off, and the moon is sextiling Chiron. Oh, wow. We get a trine with Mercury and Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. And where's Mercury? Mercury is in Gemini along with Venus, but Venus is in the first house. So y'all, let's get into this. I'm going to end this reading just in case we go over, and I'm going to end this video on Instagram Live and start over. Join me there. But YouTube is going to continue. So I'll see you in a sec. So I have to pause the video because they stop recording after an hour. And we're coming up on 45 minutes. So I know that it's going to take at least 15 minutes to do this reading. So it's probably going to take longer because this reading is about this chart. So I just want to let y'all know that that's what we're doing. That's what we're coming in with it. And so if you are just tuning in, we just did the chart for Taurus season, and I'm reshuffling my tarot cards now. Light messages to come in here. So I also have Cosmic Tarot, which my lovely roommate Amanda got me in New Orleans. This deck is a lot more divinely low vibrational. And I say that in the fact that people often think that high vibrations or positive energy is better. In any given moment, your needs are going to shift and change. And that means that the frequencies that you need access to are going to shift and change. So low vibrations are not any better or worse than high vibrations. Low or negative energy is not any better or worse than positive energy. And in fact, what we're experiencing right now collectively is too much positive energy. And it is an extreme of positive energy and having our charge neutralized. And that's essentially what spirit work is, energy work is. It's not about being the most positive. Neutralize your charge because we are vibrational beings living in an electromagnetic field. We bring in things that match our vibration. We attract things that match our vibration. So yes, if you are feeling sad, you do need positive energy to lift you up if you're feeling depressed. And that's what's going to bring you to balance. But if you're feeling rage, if you're feeling anger, if you're feeling mania, you need to be brought down. And you need to find balance in that. So it's time we really, really got to start thinking about that, y'all. Because they say, oh, let's fight fire with fire. COVID-19, this stuff to do this. And the astrology does not speak to, nor does it advocate for this. The astrology is asking us to embody compassion. The North Node is in Cancer. And it has been. It's moving out of Cancer, though. Very, very soon, the North Node is actually going to be in Taurus. And that's spaces and coming to understand how we cultivate a vibe. Yes, music is associated with Venus, more so the throat energy center, more so Libra. But as long as we are not aligned in our second house, if we're not aligned there, we're not going to be in harmony with our 7th house. And we're not going to be in harmony with our 10th house. Funnily enough, here, 10th house is in Pisces for the chart of Venus Retrograde. And I'd love to show y'all the chart, but I'm still figuring out how to do that realistically. But so we have the 10th house in Pisces. The 10th house is ruled by Saturn. It's associated with Capricorn. It's about the way that because Pisces just wants to be free flowing. But Capricorn is all about restriction. Well, this is the problem. Free flowing from where? Piscean energy is free flowing from our integrity, our core essential nature, the high version of our Aryan energy. So what you can bring those things together and how you can mend the relationships between them. Your 10th house also. If your 10th house and your 12th house are not aligned, if the way that you move through life is not aligned with your spiritual practice, with who you are, if you feel out of alignment, if you feel like you're not acting from your integrity, this is going to be a real highlighted here. And it's going to be unbearable for some people. But Fortuna is in the sign of Aquarius. So we know that into our lives so easily, Fortuna. So you may want to look at your chart and can't seem to get what I want because I'm not living in my truth. Fortuna is actually the lunar ascendant. The moon is sitting here in the 9th house with Fortuna. So I am telling you, for the duration of Venus Retrograde is collapsing. And that's really, really scary, right? How do we deal with that? What are we going to do? Well, you got to move forward the best way that you know how. Maybe look back at past experiences of times when things were not so great. How did you get through those times? Is that going to work now? It's due. We got the Four of Cups from Tarot del Fuego, my first ever deck. It's by Ricardo Cavolo, Tarot del Fuego. This is our Four of Cups energy. And so I always think of Four of Cups as like, this is our emotional home. And like I said, all of the bodies interact with one another. So they're at different times, your emotional body is going to be more aligned with like this body and that body, whatever. It might be more center. It might be more to the back of what you're paying attention to. But right now, our emotional body is like the one that's coming up the most for me, our emotional and our mental. And so this has a lot to do with the water signs. And it has a lot to do with it's like right now we're in polluted water. We're living in polluted water. It's polluted with all of the smoke, all of these shadows, smoke screens, lies, and dishonesty, and smoke screens and manipulations and shadows. But like I said, in the Taurus reading, we pulled an integration because we have overcome our shadow selves and understand our power. And that is happening, yes, in the sign of Pisces. I mean, it's no mistake that Mars is at 0 degrees in 4 seconds in Pisces, in the 9th house here, right as it's transiting into the 10th house. So what is this saying? This is about manifesting that heaven on earth. And each of our heavens looks a little bit different. Each of us has a different idea of what that means based on our experience. And all you need to do is open yourself up to it, because I promise the people that you've been wanting, the love that you've been wanting, all of that is going to come. I have a moon Aquarius. So because the moon and the Venus, for me, are the things that make up our heart space, our heart energy space, more than anything else. So I have Venus in Scorpio and Aquarius, and my moon is in Aquarius. So, but like I said, it's me who allows the energy of the air over the sea to switch. And so I say this because when I get upset, or if I get negatively excited, because there's positive excitement and negative excitement. Positive excitement is joy, or anticipating something that's exciting, right? That we're excited about. But negative excitement is anxiety. And so when I start to be negatively activated in my heart space, it's happening during Taurus season. And we're given most of Taurus season to prepare for it. So clear out your waters, clear out, because it's going to make it so much easier for you. Whatever comes up in that time, let it out, because there's a rain coming in. And that is the prosperity that we've been asking for. This is going to set the tone not only of the next however many years, it's not going to end. So you have to check in with your placements, and you have, like, there's no point in looking at your chart or being interested in your chart and using this tool and having access to this tool and having access to this resource. There's no point in having access to this if you're not using it for your self-betterment. This is a map of who you are astrally. It can help you so much in this life right now. So what I'm saying is, look at between Uranus and the moon is also creating a negative alignment with Saturn. So Uranus and the moon are clashing. The moon is in Aquarius, and Uranus is in Taurus. Now, that's interesting because the moon is in the sign of Uranus, is one of the new rulers of Aquarius. So Saturn is the ancient planetary ruler, associating so much with fire. The element of fire has actually been leveled up to electricity. And so that's actually what we've been interacting with this past Venus retrograde cycle, with especially coming to fruition at Aries season. Aries is being leveled up from this chaotic, raw, primal energy into his sister Athena, the goddess of strategic warfare, who was, and so I'll talk Shakti, but it's very similar more so to Athena. Kali. So essentially, Zeus was like having such consternation about this problem, and he got this splitting headache because it was like so concerning to him, or Saturn rather. I'll use those names, the Roman names. Saturn was like really struggling, smithing, like he is a smith. Hit him in the head with an axe and cracked his skull open, and out came Athena, the goddess of strategic warfare and wisdom and the hunt and all of this. I think Artemis is actually the goddess of the hunt. We can speak to Kali. Durga was battling this demon, and she was fighting so furiously that suddenly, excuse me, I have the hiccups a lot lately. I think it has to do with like my new powers like coming in, and like my old powers shifting and stuff, but like I keep getting the hiccups. I apologize because it's not an attractive thing, but okay. Suddenly she keeps going and loses control and destroys everything, and she strikes down Shiva. And Shiva, who she loves, she's so distraught about striking down Shiva. And this is where we are at right now. This is how we have to remember this. And this goes back to the card that I pulled for from the Work Your Light Oracle deck. We can't be operating from fear right now, because fear is going to beget toxic behaviors and patterns that are ego-driven. We know that our egos are sick. They have been polluted with the indoctrination of the empire that we live in. And so many institutions enforce the rules of this empire: patriarchy, racism, white supremacy. You can think of yourself as Saturn because you are the ruler of your life. You are the sovereign of your life. And Saturn is in every single In all of these ancient religious spaces, you can think of it as being Saturn, the ruler of time, as being the god that is most present, because Uranus, which rules Aquarius alongside Saturn, is associated with surprise, because the natural world hurls surprises at us. We have Uranus and Taurus, but because it's ideological, we're seeing the breaking of ideology. It's breaking in half, and the reality in the real world, we're seeing it happen. And that is forming a square to the moon in Aquarius. So we're being challenged right now in the material world with all of these breakups and upsets and challenges that we're facing, but we're being called. I know that it's going to be so easy to react the way that we've always reacted and to slide back into old ways of being. But I promise you that you're going to want to transcend that thought pattern and that impulse, transcend it by having faith that something good can work and that something else can and will work and that maybe anything is better than this. Have faith in that. And when you have faith and act in a way that would destroy your space, that will proliferate more shadows. We get the Tower in reverse. This has been a long time coming. All of this stuff has been coming for a long time, but especially from Venus retrograde in 2018. So what we're going to be dealing with, if you don't keep a journal, here's why it's important. Because you need to go back and visit what was going on in your life 13 October 2018. So that's Libra season through Scorpio season of 2018. You're going to want to check in on those things. And you're going to want to consider what lessons are coming to fore from there. I did readings for a lot of people in that time where I told them this is what you're going to be interacting with. Power struggles. Power struggles were associated with the energy of Venus retrograde in 2018 in Scorpio season. How do we allow people to disempower us? Why? It has already happened. So no, have faith in the fact that something good can and will work if you allow it to. So do not allow yourself to become detached. Do not allow yourself to become emotionally distant. Stay present in your feelings because they have messages for you that are going to catalyze all of these massive karmic shifts. Your whole life is about to change if you will allow it. Do not act from wrath. Do not act from anger, rage, fear, any of those things that our ego reacts to when confronted with a shadow. Know that you are the light. If you can't see it for yourself, if you don't believe that you have any power in your life, well, then I guess you are stuck. Or you get dragged. I would be the person who chooses to just go willingly. I would be that person right now because the Tower is major arcana. Go willingly or you're going to burn in this fire that's coming too. If you're just tuning in, I gave some notes. This is the Venus. I'm reading the chart of Venus retrograde in Gemini that's starting on the 13th of May. I already talked about the chart for Gemini. You will be able to access this in my story for 24 hours, but it is also going to be on my YouTube page because I'm recording on YouTube as well. But I gave advice as to how to interact with shadow work happen, the first house and the 8th house. If you have access to your birth chart, time to look at it. You're going to want to know where your Mars placement is, where your Pluto placement is, where Neptune is, where Fortuna is. You need to know your chart. That's all it comes down to. And so we're dealing with this love and compassion. How do you expect that you're going to receive unconditional love if you don't want to give it? How do you expect that you should receive forgiveness if you don't want to practice it? How do you expect that anyone else should be accountable for anything that they do if you don't want to be accountable for what you do? 10th house, Saturn chart. Because when you know your chart and when you understand energy and astrological energy, astral energy, you understand what energy you need to bring in to clear the blockage. That's what I do in my oracle readings. It is an energy therapy, specifically spiritual energy therapy. So we offer sliding scale rates. We offer discounted rates for marginalized identities. If you want an oracle reading before Venus goes retrograde in Gemini, because I bet you've already started feeling the fact that it's gone into shadow period. We're in the shadow period for a month. Then we're in Venus retrograde for a season and a half. And we still feel the power of this extremely powerful transit a year and a half out. Liberation from the spiritual bondage that we've been in. Because yes, that is what it's been. Ideas relate to the spirit as well. The spirit is represented in both water and air. That's why I said the heart space, the heart chakra, Venus in the moon here, heart chakra. The spirit has to do with water and air. Air is ideological. It's about communication. It's about information. Water is about emotion. So yes, that's the brain. The brain controls how information is processed. But the brain needs to be in water to do that. Our emotional sea, all water in the body carries information throughout the body. The circulatory system helps with that. The circulatory system works in tandem with all of the other parts of your body, including the respiratory system, which it's all contingent on the heart. All parts of you are vital. So if there are parts of you, the spiritual part, the emotional part, the mental part, that you are not stimulating because you're just trying to live a physical life, you are screwing yourself. So right now where we're at is we're really, really interacting with this emotional energy and these new insights that are coming in. And we are being given the opportunity for all of us to be able to move into a space of self-sovereignty, which we're gonna need because guess what? The authority figures, I'm sorry, but if you're giving your authority to these people after all this, if the past however many years of living in this system wasn't enough for you to know that this doesn't work, if this pandemic is not enough for you to know to divest your authority and place it in yourself, which was the lesson of Venus retrograde in Scorpio in 2018, you got a lot of work to do. But we're here to get that work flowing. And so we have a few more placements that are aspects that I want to look at. We have Chiron in Aries, and it is sextiling, or Chiron, whatever. I think it's really interesting that the character in Moonlight, his name was Chiron. And we know how important water was in Moonlight. And we know that Chiron got his healing in the water. And how he decided who he was going to be. Yeah, as a child, he was told who he was going to be. As a youth, he came to understand his agency and his power and his ability to. And so he, by facing his shadow, by facing his queerness with the person who activated him the most in this world, really, that probably served as confirmation of his queerness that he'd been hiding from. He told him at the end of the movie, nobody's touched me like that since you. to accept the love and compassion, to know that he wasn't wrong in who he was, and that he's still worthy of living a fulfilling life. Now he's empowered to take back his life, to take back his power, to be sovereign of his domain, and be who he wanted to be. We don't know what happens at the end of, like, after moonlight, but what we can assume, infrastructural realities that are lies, that are smoke screens, that are manipulations. And so, yes, these happen in the 8th house. If you didn't see the beginning of this live, we talked about the 8th house a lot in when we were examining the chart of Taurus season. It's becoming more and more prevalent because this is the space that we are entering into again. When we see, that means that it is an end of a cycle. New perspectives are coming in here. If we do not go with them, we will be dragged. This is why I say a lot of people are going to really, really, really have a hard go of this. This is the Queen of Pentacles. And just so y'all know, I'm also recording on YouTube. So if you missed anything, you can always go and check my YouTube live on my YouTube account. But we get the Queen of Pentacles. And it appears that she's resting in the water, you know, but she's surrounded by these monsters, but she's being weighed down, I feel, in her material possessions. Where are we holding on too tightly to something that's no longer serving us from the material world? For a lot of people, it's you know, where are we holding on? Are there things in the material world or the or the social world? Because earth and air make up the social world. And so all of these different elements relate to different frequencies and vibrations. And that's something that if you don't understand physics, I'm not going to give you a physics lesson right now. I am working on creating a lesson plan that I can easily do this in our Club Cosmoses when we are allowed to be in person with one another. Physics, crash course, astronomy on YouTube. These things will be very helpful, but our different bodies are moving at different frequencies. And so our minds move lightning fast. They move at the speed of light. But our physical body, the vibrations do not move as fast. And that is why we coalesce into matter. Water is a faster frequency. Air is then a faster frequency than that. And light is the fastest frequency that we are accessing in this 3D reality. So understanding that the world, and that's also a card from the major arcana, the world is social life more than anything. And that is informed by our earthly life, God, nature, that which we can't control, that which we can't manipulate. Even then we can still, but there are certain rules that we cannot change of the physical world. You know what I mean? But so our social lives are our worlds are about to be rocked with this energy of Venus retrograde in Gemini. But so we were talking about Chiron, and it's sextiling the moon. The healing, okay, so Chiron is the wounded healer of the zodiac. Chiron is the part of ourselves that we're I do have allergies, actually. But I know that they're allergies. If y'all are concerned about allergies, something that really helps is local honey. This is not something that you can buy on Amazon because it's local. Local honey, essentially, eat it, it builds up your immune system to it. So you can add this to your tea. You can add it in anything that you use sweetener in. And so I also wanted to grab my crystals because if you've never practiced with me, I do geomancy as well. So the crystals will communicate because I use all of the tools I have access to in order to give you as much information as I can. And so when I do my lives and stuff, I know that people are sometimes expecting only one thing, but I am an energy worker and I'm an oracle, and I'm telling everyone the energy of everything that they need to get, no matter what source it comes from. So oil of oregano comes in these like little kind of bottles like so, and take the dropper out, 2 drops under the tongue. And you can add that to any beverage. It really works wonders. Like it really does. So COVID-19 preventative medicine. If you haven't gotten it yet, if you are asymptomatic, you really need to go the fuck hard about your herbal remedies. And I'll talk more about Vicious's Clarity Care Network later. That is because I'm experiencing a human tragedy. Please be gentle with yourselves. Show up for yourself. Be kind to yourselves and be kind to one another. Be loving because it's already hard enough. And if you're already experiencing difficult emotional life or whatever you're experiencing, it's already hard enough. Don't make it harder for yourself. It was so heavy. And it released a lot of shadows. That's why the past 2 years have been so dark. Because we have been in that shadow space for the past 1.5 years. And with this Venus retrograde, so this energy is going to be popping up. It's not always going to be consistently happening like how Venus retrograde in Scorpio was consistently happening in the emotional world. What's going to happen here is it's going to be a lot of little insights. Oh, a lot of real do for yourself, or you can't heal that part of yourself. And so Chiron has been in Aries, but it is moving into Taurus. And it's in Aries at 7 degrees and 59 seconds in the 11th house. It's in the 9th house. The 11th house is ruled by Aquarius, Saturn. It is no mistake that we keep coming back to Saturn, which is in its home sign of Aquarius, being exalted and supercharged. This is one of the strongest planetary powers. So there's a lot going on, and it rules time. The rings of Saturn, the mortal coil. If you missed the first live, like I said, it's up. It's going to be up on YouTube. It's going to be in my story. But like the rings of Saturn, the rings of time, this is what we're thinking about. You're stuck in these loops. The information, the insights to get you out of these loops, it's going to come in now. The thing about it is once we get up to a new level, we can't go down to another level. We can't go back the way that we came. Because ascension, we're ascending in consciousness. So we can choose to play out the old life, but you're just going to keep making it worse for yourself. So when these little nuggets of insight that tell you how to structure your world, how to navigate your boundaries so that you're actually... It's at 1 degree and 10 seconds in Cancer. So what does that mean? It means that pretty soon the North Node is going to close. Because like I said, with this energy right now, if you don't go, you will be dragged. You don't need any more scars. Love yourself enough to respect yourself and just go. Just honor your feelings. I know it's scary. Let's look at where Mars is on the chart. Excuse me, sorry. Mars is at 0 degrees and 4 seconds in the 9th house in Pisces. And so Mars rules our energy. It is our raw primal energy. That's why it's associated with the 5th house. I mean, the 1st house and the 8th house. It rules both Aries and Scorpio. The 9th house is ruled by Jupiter and Sagittarius. So it's about expansion. It's about what we give to the world and where we go. It's about the exchange of information. Jupiter wants to expand us. Jupiter wants us to take us to new heights, to new places. We need to develop our emotional intelligence, and that is only going to come by having faith in the unknown. The fear that we've been embodying, we have to act from faith now, all throughout the Venus retrograde. The faith is, it's going to be fine. It will be fine. It will be fine. It will be fine. It will be fine. That something good can work and that something better is coming. Because what we do know is life is fluid, life is flux. And it goes up and it goes down. However we want to perceive of its goings and comings, that's our choice regarding our consciousness. Like I said when we pulled the devil in the last chart reading. But there's so much beauty to be had by just tapping into the light and allowing it to take us where we need to go. Princess of Pentacles in the reverse position. We thought we knew. And that's, interesting because we got the Queen of Pentacles too. From Tarot del Fuego. What is holding us down? What is it that we value so much that it's keeping us in this shadow space where our monster holding on to that we think is making our lives valuable, but really isn't, because we know that Venus is the planet of value? What is it? This has to do with Capricorn energy. Has to do with the triple goddess. Receptivity. Are we allowing ourselves to experience? There are a few more aspects that I want to get into. So Saturn is retrograde, and it is going to be forming a trine with Mercury, which is going to be Mercury is in Gemini in the 12th house at 2 degrees and 52 seconds. This is really about how we communicate our wants and needs, because that is also something that is ruled by Venus. Venus is the spectrometer, essentially. How intense are things? That's how Venus is. Where do wants become needs? I want some water versus I need some water. And our value systems are messed up because of capitalism. I don't need any water. I don't even really want water, but I know that other people have it. So I want to feel good about myself. And something that a coping mechanism that I've developed to feel good about myself is having things that other people don't have. So I'm going to hoard all of this water, even though I don't need it and other people do need it. And I don't even frankly want it. I may not even have enough space for it. But because of this egotistical thing I've got going on, I'm going to hoard it anyway. Excess causes disease. Capitalism is literally the spectrum of excess and deficit. It's not real, and we know that. It's an idea. You can't kill a concept, right? All of the insights that you came into in the past year and a half, they were preparing you for this moment. Go back, recollect. Where was the love lost? Where was the love hidden from you? Where was it that you were not receiving the love? What has been able to nest in that space of lack, of deficit? What has been able to nest there? That is what we must cast out with the light. And that is whatever comes up, happens from there, happens. But that's what it is. So Mercury retrograde in the 12th house. Keep reminding yourself of your power, of the power of manifestation, of the power of your own voice, of your own consciousness, of your power in your life. Because guess what? I clap my hands. That causes energy to shift. I mean that it's not happening. You are not the person. You don't get to decide how time plays out. You only really get to decide how you interact with it, how you choose to experience it. We are the arbiters of our own experience. And that's what we come to realize with Saturn being retrograde in Aquarius, trining Mercury in the 12th house in Gemini. If you want it, go get it. Allow yourself to experience joy. It's waiting for you. All you have to do is let it in. At first, it's going to feel so weird and foreign and a little bit scary. And then you keep practicing it and you keep strengthening those muscles and they come to fore and they become you. And that's you. We have an opposition with the midheaven and Mars. Our lives, because now more than ever it is on offer. It's possible. The energy is so ripe for it. Midheaven is also trining the North Node. Move from compassion, move from love. This is how we find spiritual liberation. And if you can liberate the spirit, you can liberate everything else. Like I said, I'm gonna do more work on creating media for y'all. And I feel really good about this reading. I feel like we really got to a lot. As a reminder, what I'm telling people to work with for this energy is going to be the first house and the 8th house, the 2nd house and the 7th house, and the 10th house and the 12th house. So those 6 houses, you're really going to want to pay attention to. We offer reduced rates for marginalized people and sliding scale always for all. So if you want to, but slowly but surely you will start to flesh out your own understanding of the energy and how it relates to Venus going retrograde on the 13th of May, 2020 at 6:45 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time.